Hello, my name's Finn. I do bike fits here at Momentum, and today we're going to talk about 5 mistakes that we commonly see in the bike fit studio. So mistake 1 that we see is the type of bike people purchase. It's a very expensive mistake, and it can quite frankly make riding unenjoyable. So buying a bike that, whether it's an endurance bike, a race bike, an aero bike, a gravel bike, buying something that suits the type of riding you're going to do and how you ride a bike is really important. Not everyone can buy the top end race bike you see the World Tour pros riding and enjoy riding it. So bike size is equally as expensive. What we generally like to do is do a pre-purchase fit. So here at Momentum we've got a retool fit bike, and the fit bike allows us to achieve any geometry of any bike we want. So we can change where the handlebars are in relation to the saddle, the relative stack height, the relative saddle height and offset. So we can pick a geometry chart, look at the geometry and put the fit bike to that position and see if it would be a bike that would suit you and suit the way you ride.
If someone's between a small and a medium, would you go up a size or down a size? Or is that very difficult to answer?
That one's difficult to answer. People have preferences. The big thing that people often miss, they'll see a bike size and go, the saddle will roughly in the right height. But there's variants in geometries of different bikes. So from one size to another, the reach might be significantly longer, which you can change with this stem to some extent, but it's not ideal. And similarly with the stack height, which is a little bit harder to change because the bottom of the stack is going to be a limit and you're not going to want to go too high in the stack as well. So there's other things to bear in mind opposed to just saddle height as well.
Then you have the pro thing where you go smaller frame size, whack a massive stem on it and put your saddle height up massive. Yeah. But that's not good for the everyday consumer. You want like...
Definitely not. So smaller bike generally means lower bar, bigger drop between the saddle and the bars naturally, because on a smaller frame you're going to generally need a higher saddle height. So that's really sort of a restrictive position to be in, and if you're not mobile enough to maintain that position, it's not going to be the bike for you. Cleat position. So we see a massive varied range in where people have the cleats. The most common answer to why your cleats where they are is I just put them on somewhere in the middle and thought it'd be alright. For most riders, having a rearward cleat position now is the most beneficial. It takes away the chances of a lot of sort of knee niggles that you might get, and it creates a lot more of a stable base. So for most riders, a more rearward cleat position is going to be the best place to start. One thing else to look out for is the wear on your cleat. So this is often neglected. People will just ride them until they crack the cleat, or one day they have a spur of the moment thought to buy cleats in a bike shop. So regularly check the wear on your cleats. If you start feeling any sort of instability in the pedal, then it's going to more than likely be your cleats. So make sure you keep on top of the wear of your cleats.
They usually have wear indicators, don't they? Is that the grey bits, yeah?
Yeah, so there's usually wear indicators on them, but these can often fall off as well. So these sort of elastomer parts of the cleat are partly there to walk on and partly there to indicate how much wear it's had. So more times than not that will fall off before you actually get it to where the wear indicator is, but it's something to look out for as well. The hood position of your bike. We see a massive range in where people have the hoods, from pointing up to the sky to touching the floor almost, to inwards to outwards, to one way and one the other. Thankfully the UCI have banned the pointing in of hoods, which is a bit of a touchy subject. I think the bigger issues come from bar width and bar length opposed to necessarily the hood position, but I do think it'll be of benefit, because it'll sort of put people in a more aware position, for want of a better term.
Yeah.
Also, if you're doing different disciplines, so cyclocross, for example, there's no point and no benefit to having your hoods in a turn-in, down-low position. It puts you completely out of shape on the bike, and for the technical aspects of cyclocross, it's important that you have good control over the front end of the bike. Don't ride like a pro and don't set your bike up like a pro. We covered this slightly before in terms of bike sizing and bike types, but we see it more and more. People going to the local bike shop, not having necessarily great support from the bike shop and buying the bikes that they see on TV. Like we've mentioned before, it's not going to be fun to ride. You're going to probably end up with some pain and some niggles, and more than likely you'll end up buying a new bike.
And you're not going to look cool if you're crippled in pain.